All right, students, another great day in AP Government. I want to talk a little bit about that case, U.S. versus Lopez. Really what we were talking about was a further definition of the Commerce Clause and how it applies, but more importantly, again, the challenge that arises out of it, especially in terms of federalism, and who has the power to and authority to regulate this, the state or the national government. And as we looked at, again, we were really talking about how Congress passes a law in 1990 called the Gun-Free School Zones Act. And the Gun-Free School Zones Act said that Congress has the power under the Interstate Commerce Clause to regulate what happens in schools with regards to safety. And because they have the issue of safety as an Interstate Commerce Clause spectrum, the national government bans the possession of firearms near or at or in or around schools. The case, essentially, you have a young man, Lopez, last name Lopez, brings a gun to school, is charged with a crime, and that crime then gets appealed all the way to the Supreme Court. The question was not really whether or not the crime had occurred, but whether or not Congress had the ability to regulate through the Interstate Commerce Clause. The Renhquist Court in the 1990s addresses this question of really who had the power to regulate interstate commerce. Was it an issue of the state or was it an issue of the national government's area of influence? And in a 5-4 decision, the court rules that Congress has exceeded its power when passing the Gun-Free School Zones Act under the Commerce Clause, and in fact, the court really ruled that it's a criminal statute and that Congress has no authority to enter into this statute, and it has nothing to do with commerce or any type of activity, and those are unconstitutional as a result. Just as a little bit of review, we have covered the following cases. McCulloch versus Maryland, again talking about implied powers, supremacy of the Constitution. Gibbons versus Ogden, talking about supremacy, talking about the Interstate Commerce Clause. U.S. versus Lopez, talking about the Commerce Clause, and really all of them talking about the Necessary and Proper Clause and the limits of the federal government with regards to that. That's it for now. Let me know if you have questions.